Hi, I'm Cryss, and welcome to episode 12 of the Crochet Cryss Podcast. My sister Lisa and I own the yarn store A Knit Sheep in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and this is the space where I talk about building my crochet closet and learning to become my own designer. So, just a couple of housekeeping things to get out of the way. One, as you can see, there's a lot of sunlight behind me, and it's really got me kind of in shadow. I realize that I usually film a little bit later in the day. That's why I haven't had this problem before. That's okay. I decided not to just wait for things to be perfect. I just wanted to get this episode up. So hopefully you all will bear with me on that. And the other thing is that you have probably noticed that I refer to my episodes as season 1 episodes, and that is because I decided to build in some breaks for myself because I am filming every week instead of every other week. I was worried about burnout, so I decided to film 12 episodes and then take a break, 12 episodes, take a break, and just divide it up the year like that. So while the season episode notation doesn't really mean very much, it's just giving me kind of like a built-in stopping point. So when I come back, so I won't have an episode up next week. When I come back the week after that, I will be calling the episode season 2. But I mean, it doesn't really mean very much other than I've taken a little break. Completely forgot what I was going to say. Oh well. Now I remember. So I'm going to try to get my computer looked at during the next 2 weeks because it keeps freezing. iMovie keeps freezing and crashing on me, and that makes filming episodes very, very difficult and very, very frustrating. So hopefully I can get that resolved, and then it'll be a little bit of a smoother process filming. Okay, so I actually didn't know what I was going to talk about in this episode. Because let me tell y'all the truth. My sweater that I'm working on, which I haven't named it yet, the sweater that I'm doing with the wool like and some yarn I got from Jimmy Bean. I didn't work on it at all this week. I just didn't. We were getting ready to open up the store again, and I've been working on some things around the house, and Lisa got sick, and it's just been a whole thing. She just has a cold. She's fine. But yeah, the last week I didn't get to it. So I was like, well, what am I going to talk about? But I was cleaning my room, and I stumbled across several UFOs. Some unfinished projects that I had, because when I realized that I was having so much frustration working from patterns, prior to realizing that it was really patterns that was the cause of my, crochet frustration, I just wasn't finishing things. I would start things, I really liked the pattern, I liked the yarn, I was really happy, but then as I kept working on it, it just started to feel like more and more of a drag, and it got so bad that I really, for a long period, I wasn't finishing anything. It wasn't until we opened the store last year that I did a couple of samples for the store, and they were things that I was actually able to finish. Because, I don't know, it wasn't that I felt pressure, but I wanted to have them to display. It's just water, nothing exciting. But prior to opening the store last fall, I hadn't finished anything in ages, and it was really driving me nuts because I hadn't been able to put my finger on why I wasn't finishing anything. So I just came across a few things that I haven't finished, but I'm debating whether or not I'm going to continue them because, one, it would mean working from a pattern, but I don't want the yarn to go to waste, and I did like these designs originally. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So we'll just go through them, and if you like, you can share your thoughts. So the first one is called the Diagonal Eyelet Top. This is a free pattern from the Lion Brand website, and that's what it looks like. Turns out my iPad shows up better on camera than my iPhone for some reason. So it's a tunic style, and it comes down to hip length, but I didn't like that. For some reason, I felt like this length was very matronly. I don't like how it's styled in this photo, but I really like that diagonal pattern. So I made mine shorter. So mine comes down to just below my waist, just below my natural waist, like right at the top of the hip. I'm using Caron Cotton Cakes, and I believe, let me tell you how old this project is. I think I got this yarn the first year the Cotton Cakes came out, and I mean, it'd been sitting around for a while, so I didn't start this project as soon as I got this yarn, but this top could be, at this point, more than a year ago I started this. It could be about like, it's probably about 2 years. I didn't want to say it, but it's probably been about 2 years. Now this has been sitting around in my room. Now what I like about it, I do like that diagonal striping pattern. That is just the cutest thing ever. I really like that. And of course I like self-striping yarns. I like yarn that does some of the work for me. I have no desire to do any kind of like really intricate color work. When I see it, I think it's beautiful, but I do just like to keep my process as simple as possible for creating garments. So I love self-striping yarns. I like this color palette. However, it's kind of heavy. So it's 60% cotton and I believe 40% acrylic, and it's 211 yards. I don't know, like right now, the temperature that it is outside, would I wear this? I don't know. I think I would like it to be a little bit cooler. So this would probably be more of a spring top for me if I were going to finish this and wear it. So I guess this is the front, I think I made. So I would still have to do the back if I wanted to finish this. I also have been giving a lot of side-eye lately to worsted weight yarn. Not because there's anything wrong with worsted weight yarn, but just because that's almost entirely what I've worked in up until like a few months ago. I just feel like this doesn't need to be so heavy. I would prefer this in a really nice sport weight. So as far as like craft store yarns, maybe make this out of something like Premier Cotton Fair. I would prefer. It just seems too big, too bulky, too chunky. So while there are things that I really, really like about it, I'm going to see if maybe I can repurpose this yarn. I will definitely repurpose this striping pattern. That's really cute. It's really simple. It was very easy to do. And I do want a top that has something like this going on, but it might not be this top. But I do like the yarn. I just don't know what I would make with it. I would make something maybe that's meant to be like a chunkier, bulkier sweater, because this just seems like a very dense fabric to me. So I don't think this was ever the right yarn for this project. And I'm only now like really starting to learn, because I always just like had a make it work designer moment whenever I was starting a new project. I would buy yarn, and buying yarn was completely independent of making for me. It was just the act of buying yarns that I really liked and I knew I wanted to use, but when I bought them I had no idea how I was going to use them. So I'd buy yarn and I'd build up my stash, and then when I found a pattern that I liked, I would go through the stash and try to find something in my stash that would work with that pattern. And I realize now that a lot of times I was forcing a fit. And even though I believe the original is also using a worsted weight cotton yarn, I still think it's a bad idea. I don't think that weight and that material are right for this pattern, because I feel like this could just look a lot more delicate. So this one is definitely promotion in doubt. I don't know that I will go back to this. So now this one was meant to be really chunky and bulky and oversized. So the yarn I used worked out a lot better. So first, let me show you the pattern. The pattern is like really simple. and it is the Caron Big Easy Crochet Pullover. I really liked that texture. And again, I don't remember what the stitch pattern was. I just remember it was very simple. So this is mine. And because the stitch pattern was so simple, I decided again to use a multicolored self-striping yarn. And let me tell you something, when I use self-striping yarns, I make no effort to match up stripes. For me, that's like the fun of using a self-striping yarn. You just get what you get. So between the front and the back, you see, I didn't match up anything. That's fine. I mean, how often do you see the front and back of the same garment at the same time anyway? So if someone's getting all up in your business like that, they get what they get. So this is very bulky. It comes down to my hips. It's, as you can see, I just got stuck on the sleeves. My sister uses the term sleeve island. I'm sure that's a common term probably in knitting world. But yeah, I guess that's where I got stuck. In fact, I think I started one of the sleeves and just never finished it. And I have no idea why. So this is the yarn I was using. Again, a Caron Big. I had a moment with the Caron cakes. I'm not gonna lie, I did. So this is the Caron Big Cake, and this is 100% acrylic. This is 300 grams and 603 yards, and it is also a worsted weight yarn. I've had this skein for a while, so the paper's a little beat up, but the yarn's fine. But so far, I mean, I have to say, I really like how it was coming out. I like how the stripes are playing out. This is definitely, oh, I just realized what it looked like. This looks like candy corn, except for the gray, right? I didn't realize I made a big old candy corn sweater. Oh, goodness me. Okay. Because I was just about to say, but this is really more of a fall color palette. So this is not something, you know, I would wear all the time. But October, November, this is where it's at, right? I mean, now that I realize it looks like candy corn, I can wear it on Halloween, right? If it's cool enough out. So this ribbing is the single crochet back loop only. And I almost never do that. For some reason, I don't like working in the sides of stitches. So when you do your ribbing, then you have to, you know, turn it and work in the sides of the stitches. But I think that looks really good, actually. I don't know. I kind of like it. So I may, you know, start using this kind of ribbing a little bit more often. This, I mean, I like it. It's cute. It's cozy. This is something I would want to wear. So I feel like that is reason enough to finish it. I feel like this yarn being all like heavy and chunky like this works so much better for this garment than it does for this garment. It just does. So I between these two, I'm definitely more likely to finish this. And since it's like just the sleeves, I feel like I have to finish it. So we'll see. What I'm thinking though, I may not do this stitch pattern for the sleeves. I was thinking to maybe make the whole sleeve just ribbed. I thought that could be kind of fun. But we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, this is my other UFO. But I have to say, you know, like I pulled it out of the bag and I was like, I still like it all this time later. So I may have to go back to this one. This one definitely has a better chance of being finished than the cotton top. So now, let's talk about this last one. Because I bought this yarn and I knew I had it around somewhere. And so the bag that this project was in was sitting on my shelf. And I was like, oh, I think that's where my yarn is, right? But I did not realize there was a project in the bag with the yarn. So first thing I found, I don't know if I may have mentioned that I lost my 3.5 millimeter hook. It was in the bag because I knew it was somewhere with a project, but because I didn't remember there was a project in that bag, I didn't remember that's where the hook was. The yarn is a mangled mess right now, but this is It's a Wrap Rainbow, and I bought it just because I was super curious about this style yarn. So it is 55% acrylic, 45% cotton, is 623 yards, and it is a fingering weight yarn, but it has 4 individual strands, and the strands change color one at a time. The only thing I don't like about it is that the color changes are knotted on, so you will see little knots throughout your yarn, but because this yarn is so fine, those knots really don't bother me very much. But what was I making out of it? Well, I told you all that the off-road sweater was my first original design, and technically that's true because it's the only original thing that I have completed. But I found this. This was going to be a top, I think it was going to be a sweater, but if I finish it, I think it'll be a t-shirt. But let me see if I can get it close enough for you to see what's going on. Ah, there we go. Because I alternated 3 post stitches and then 3 double crochet, 3 post stitches, 3 double crochet, and you don't see it as much with this yarn. I should have brought down my inspiration piece to show it to you, but basically you get the effect of a faux cabling. And I got the idea from a pattern that I had that has a big, like, chunky cowl neck, but then the body at the top is really lacy. And I really like that contrast. And the way you do the cowl neck is just 4 post stitches, 4 front posts, 4 back posts, 4 front posts, 4 back posts. And like I said, it gives the effect of really, really chunky cables. And I fell in love with that. I only did the cowl neck. I actually didn't finish the top. Partly because I wasn't finishing anything, but partly because I didn't like the lace pattern as much as I liked the cable cowl neck. But I totally stole that idea. And I'm trying to, oh, okay, there, that looks like cables, right? So you can see the effect I was going for. And again, me and the self-striping yarns. So I pulled this out of the bag and I was like, I remember that. But what I don't remember is why I stopped working on it. Because I do like the yarn and I am crazy about the stitch pattern, and I love that it's a little bit see-through. That's kind of cool. But this is something that I made up. So the bottom is just linen stitch. That's my waistband. And then I did the faux cabling. And I still like it. Now I would say these colors are not exactly my palette, but when I bought this yarn, I think I bought it from Michaels online. I wasn't crazy about any of the colors for any of them, and that's been one of my big issues with trying to buy yarn to make garments from craft stores. It's like that because the assumption is not that crocheters are making garments, the colors are not always suitable for clothing for adults. They can be a little but I think I can make this work. I can throw this on with a pair of jeans and call it a day. But thinking about it, because I found this in my room a few days ago, and thinking about it, I honestly think what happened was I completely lost my confidence. So here I was finally working on something that I didn't have a pattern for, and I clearly enjoyed it up to a point, right? But I have this vague memory of at some point just being like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know why not having a pattern felt so much like flying without a net. It felt like, I don't know, like I had like permission to make a thing when I had a pattern, because I knew what that thing was going to be when I finished working. But with this, because it only existed in my head, it didn't seem as like a tangible an objective for some reason, and I just let it drop. And I'm really mad at myself because I like this. I like it a lot. Out of these three, especially because it's an original thing, and I was just doing, so it was going to be the same construction as what the off-road sweater ended up being, which was basically just all rectangles. Like I said, I remember that I initially intended this to be a sweater, but it's definitely going to be a t-shirt. Just because I'll finish it a bit more quickly if I don't have to worry about sleeves. But yeah, I think I'm gonna finish this, and it'll be my, I don't know how to designate, I guess technically it'll be my second original design. I don't know, will it be my first because I didn't finish it first? I don't know, it doesn't really even matter, right? But look at me, I was designing a thing like more than a year ago, and then I just stopped, I just quit, and that was foolish, and don't do that. So out of my 3 UFOs, I definitely want to revive this one. I mean, as I'm looking at it on the camera, I'm like, I still really like this. So hopefully, you know what I would like to do? I would like to try to finish it in the next couple of weeks so I can show it to you all finished. But I'm not promising that, but that's definitely like a goal. But yeah, I think out of the 3, I will definitely, look at that. I'm sorry, you know what? I am enchanted with it. And I'm an idiot, but I love it. And I'm gonna finish this. I'm definitely going to finish this. And if I'm not mistaken, I have another skein of this and I have to check and see, but I think all of the skeins start at the same point in terms of the color. So when I make the back, as long as I start from that second skein, the stripes will more or less match up. But like I said, I'm not a stickler for that, so we'll just see how it goes. So out of these 3, this will probably get frogged. The pattern will be altered, but I will probably finish those sleeves because now that I'm seeing the candy corn connection, I actually really want to wear this on Halloween. And this I'm definitely going to finish. I don't know when. I'd like to finish it by the end of the summer, but this is a must-do. So those are my UFOs that I honestly, like I said, I just found them in my room. I had so completely forgotten about them that I was living with them in my space every day and didn't even realize it. So I'm really glad that I dug those out and like kind of took that trip down memory lane and made some decisions about what I'm going to do with each one of them. So the only other thing I wanted to show you was I got my latest box from Jimmy Bean Indie Club. And without further ado, look at that. That is, so the brand is called Junkyard. It says color inspired by women. And this color is called, I'm going to say it's Tokmatone. And it is named after a Native American woman. She was Paiute. And she was a writer and activist. And I love that my yarn came with a little bit of a history lesson, and I'm definitely going to look her up and learn some more about her. So if you would like to do the same, there's her name. So like I said, these colorways are dyed specifically for the Jimmy Bean Club, so you can't get this anywhere else. I love it. I like that it's mostly neutral with these pops of color. That totally works for me. The only thing I will say, so now I've gotten 3 boxes from the Jimmy Bean Club, and I'm very happy with what I've gotten. I love learning about a yarn company for the first time from the box. So for that alone, I think it's worthwhile subscribing to something like Jimmy Bean. However, there's only one like net minus. Well, 2. We'll get to the second one. So far, every box has been fingering weight sock yarn. And I don't remember if maybe in the description of the club on the Jimmy Bean website, they said that that's what they would do. But that's what's ended up happening. That it's always been fingering weight sock yarn. And while I can always come up with a use for fingering weight sock yarn, I really do wish there was just a little bit more variety in the box. I would love to get different weights. I would love to get different fibers. I know a lot of indie dyers are really kind of focusing on finger and weight sock yarn, especially because it's so popular and it's very popular for things other than socks. So I totally understand, indie dyers committing their resources in that direction. However, there are indie dyers who are dyeing other bases. And I just think if I had one thing I would change about this yarn club is that I would get different fibers and different weights of yarn each month. That said, the yarn I have been getting has been beautiful. I have been very happy with it. I do like it very much. So no complaints in that direction. The other thing about the club is they send you an enamel pin each month, and it's just the logo of the yarn company. I don't care about the logo of the yarn company. So at the end of the month, if Jimmy Bean has not sold all of their boxes, they will send out an email to subscribers and say, hey, do you need another skein or so of that colorway? You can buy it from us for $26. Or you can also buy the pin, because the club is $30 a month. You can buy just the pin if for some reason you really like a logo pin for $4. I have no use for this pin. When I first started subscribing, I was like, oh, there'll be an enamel pin in it. And I just thought, they're always just like a round circle with the logo in it. There's nothing interesting about these pins. And honestly, I think Jimmy Bean is wasting money even offering these. I don't know who wants a pin with the logo. I've had some cute little picture or a message or something. But just the company's logo means nothing to me. Take those out the box and bring down the price to $26. That seems like a no-brainer to me, but people run their business how they run their business. That's not my business. But I don't need the pin. I don't need this pin. And can I tell you, I was more excited about getting this with the yarn than I was about the pin. I would love something like this that gave me some sort of information or story about my yarn. I would love, if you get your wool from a certain area of the world, tell me something about that yarn, that farm, those sheep, something. I would love a little lesson or something interesting with the yarn. Put the $4 into that. I think that's more useful for your audience, because while enamel pins are a thing right now, they are so happening and everybody's loving them. This is not what people want from an enamel pin. It's just a logo, and unless there's something really cool or really meaningful about that logo, this doesn't mean anything. So that would be the only things that I would change about Jimmy Bean. So I don't know how long I will stay subscribed. Right now I have it on auto ship. They just send it to me every month, charge me. But so far I've been really excited about the beautiful colorways I've been getting. And I like that it's just one skein. It's not a big commitment. So if for some reason I didn't like a colorway, that would be fine. But I also am more likely to get colorways that I might not have chosen for myself. And that's what I like about it, and that's enough to keep me subscribed for now. But when the fingering weight sock yarn starts piling up, I might have to cancel my subscription. Not because I don't enjoy it, but because at some point, you got enough fingering weight sock yarn. So that is my review of the Jimmy Bean Indie Club. And I think it's definitely worthwhile checking it out. I think the price is decent, and I personally like that it doesn't come with a pattern. They have other clubs that do come with patterns, but this one does not. That also works for me, so they're not steering you in any direction. You're free to use that yarn however you like. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So just a reminder, I will not be posting an episode next week. I will be back in 2 weeks with another 12 episodes. So thank you for watching. If you're interested, like, subscribe. If not, feel free to lurk. I don't mind. And thanks for watching, and stay stitching.